Okay, folks, I think I'm going to start and people can just join as they come in. So good evening. You're welcome to put your cameras on or off. I don't mind. It's weird talking to a blank screen, so feel free. But if I could ask you to stay muted, that would be great. Yeah, people are still joining. Okay, well, for those who don't know, I'm Natalie Holmes. I'm the founder of Conscious Connections. Just to give you a little bit of background on me, so you know where I'm coming from. My background is psychology, that's what I studied. I'm a counselor, I do team efficiency coaching for businesses, I do education consulting for schools. I'm also a certified youth and adolescent counselor, and I do wellness consulting for organizations. So I've worked in the field of psychology and education and training pretty much my whole career. And yeah, I do people. When people ask me what I do, I say I do people. So when I founded my company, I started out as a parenting coach and educator. So I used to run parenting courses. I did family counseling and coaching. And as my kids grew up, I focused more on teenagers and helping young adults, or sorry, actually helping adults understand the teen brain. And now my passion is more about helping people find their niche in the world. So I do this for kids as young as 11, right up to adults in their personal and professional capacity. But my real passion is helping young people discover their superpower. I call it a superpower because I think that it's cool. and and that's how this program came about. So this evening, I want to give you a little bit of insight into the future your kids are facing. I obviously don't have a crystal ball, so I can't tell you exactly what that's going to be. But I do want to talk a little bit about how change is accelerating, how the world of work is changing, and how we can help our kids be prepared for that unpredictable future. Some of us have concerns about technology taking jobs away from our kids. In fact, I don't know if any of your kids told you, but I was at the school on Tuesday and I spoke to them in assembly. And a lot of them actually said they are worried that machines or robots or AI are taking their jobs or their possible jobs away. And they seem to have this underlying fear. And to be honest, a lot of us are clueless about how to guide our kids for this future because it's no longer linear like ours was. You know, do well, study, get a job. And that was the kind of traditional route that most of us took. So tonight, I just want to talk to you a little bit and give you a bit of insight into ways that we can help them set themselves apart so that they are able to navigate their futures and their career paths confidently and in line with where their natural inclinations lie. So what we're going to chat about tonight are these things. What future skills employers are looking for, different kind of education, where your child could make their biggest impact, what should they be pursuing. So I do help with grade 9s subject choices, grade 11s with career choices and what to study. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What they should be pursuing, you know, what suits them, what are their natural proclivities. Obviously, I'm going to talk a bit about the program, the Lifetime Growth Club that we offer, and a gap year program. So I will take questions at the end, so please write them down. Feel free to ask. I'm not going to be able to keep track of the chat as well as present, but please feel free to pop them in there and we can look at them at the end. Otherwise, we'll just open it up at the end for questions. So, right, I'm going to kick off. Just check the lobby before I carry on. Oh dear. Okay. So first, some good news. You do still matter. I know parents of teenagers don't believe that always, but research does show that as they get older, obviously they become more independent of their parents and are more influenced by their peers, which I'm sure you've all noticed already. But yeah, so when it comes to advice on their love life or friendships, forget it. You're persona non grata. But they do still come to us for the big decisions. And research shows that they are 6 times more likely to listen to us or their parents about career choices than their peers or teachers. So you still got a foot in the door there. So there is some good news. So what jobs will they be doing? So we know digital and AI technologies are transforming the world of work, and that means that today's workforce is going to have to learn new skills and to learn to continually adapt as new occupations emerge. And for some of us and some of your kids, the future might look a bit scary, not knowing. And also, how do we help them? How do we help them make career choices when we have no idea? So, oh, sorry, a bunch of people in the lobby again. So the crux of it is that all jobs could be affected, okay? Not just those in technology. The need for manual and physical skills, as well as basic cognitive ones, will decline, but the demand for technological, social, and emotional and higher cognitive skills is going to grow. So some work will, of course, be specialized, but in a labor market that's more automated and digital and dynamic, all people are going to benefit from having a set of foundational skills that'll help them fulfill the following three criteria. So they need to be able to add value beyond that which can be done by an automated system or an intelligent machine. They need to be able to operate in a digital environment. And obviously, they need to continually adapt to new ways of working, new occupations, and just keep learning. So ultimately, the more human the job is, the more likely it will be to continue. The truth is, we actually just don't know what those jobs are going to be. So if you think about the rate of change over the past few years, jobs that are now seen as the norm didn't even exist 5 to 10 years ago, like a drone pilot or an AI engineer or a blockchain analyst. Like those things, we didn't even know what they were, but now they're there and they're the norm. So the only way we can help our youth be good at life as adults is by empowering them to feel prepared to face the unknown. So if we take music as an example of how fast the world is changing, the first device to actually play music on ever was the gramophone in 1877. And it took 29 years for the next cool thing to hit the music world. And that was a record player. And that was 29 years. I mean, imagine if it took Apple 29 years to come out with the next phone. So fast forward through some of our devices, and I might be dating myself here, but we had cassette players, we had Walkmans, CDs, and then finally we hit digital with DVDs. And that took 19 years to go from tapes to digital. Now we have a new device every year. Okay, so the next generation of devices takes 1 year to come out. So that's how fast it's happening, and it's probably even quicker than that now. So it is true that over the past few years, the integration of machines and AI has impacted various industries. We all know it, we've seen it, we're living it, which has led to automation and in some case, replacement of certain jobs. I was in the UK in last year, and I used a self-checkout machine. It was bizarre. I mean, I've heard there's some in South Africa in some places, but yeah, and I'm sure lots of you have had robo AI telemarketers. That drives me crazy. I don't know how that works, but yeah. So some of the other jobs that have been automated are things like data entry clerks, manufacturing workers, obviously, and it's the routine customer chatbots when you just want to talk to a human. Simple document analysis or bookkeeping and processing. There's automated accounting software now. Some data analysis roles, fast food orders. I mean, if you've been to the movies lately, whichever one is still standing, everything's automated and you just do your own orders. Warehousing, inventory staff, those things, there are automated systems, robots, and drones doing all that now. And researchers. I mean, I use ChatGPT all the time for my research. So yeah, there are things that are happening. Things like AI ethics consultants is a kind of a job that is predicted to be a future job, and some of the fastest growing areas of employment out there. So the fact of the matter is that our kids are going to be solving problems that don't yet exist, using technology that doesn't yet exist, in jobs that don't yet exist, in a world we can't actually imagine. So the bottom line is the way we were taught to work is suited to a world that no longer exists. So the world our kids are a part of, it operates very differently to the one we started working in. I mean, even we've got to keep up now. And the scary thing is we can't predict what that's going to look like. So how do we prepare them? From research, we know that sorry, that our kids will continually need to learn new skills their whole lives to keep up. I mean, if you think of your parents, and they've gone from funny phones to like now they've got to learn smartphones, and our kids are going to have to be very adaptable as new occupations emerge. But what we're less clear about is what are the specific skills that they're going to need. So we've done a lot of research, and there's research by McKinsey Global Institute, which has looked at the kind of jobs that will be lost, as well as those that are going to be created. And it's concluded that the type of high-level skills that will become increasingly important are going to fall into 4 broad categories. So those categories are cognitive, digital, interpersonal, and self-leadership. So what skills are employers looking for? They interviewed top executives all around the world, and they asked them what they believe are going to be the most important job skills of the future. And their top responses included these things. So these are the skills that our kids are going to need to develop to help them to be prepared for whatever new careers are going to come about in the next few years. And that is what I developed this program around. So just as an aside, and out of a matter of interest, I found this interesting when I was doing some research, is predicting the best jobs for the future is going to require all sorts of variables that will interact in complex and surprising ways. And many of today's jobs are probably going to result from scientific and technological advances, okay? And while most jobs of the future probably don't yet exist, and a lot of them haven't even yet been imagined, some of the best careers for the future are likely to be good options because of these 4 things. The biomedical advancements, so smarter machines, things like fusion of man and robot, human-like robots, AI, nanotechnology. My mom had to have her colon checked, without oversharing, but they gave her a capsule, and she swallowed the capsule, and it was actually a camera, and that camera basically went from her mouth all the way out and filmed her whole colon, like a whole canal, basically, which is amazing. I mean, it blows my mind. So all the biomedical cures, the 3D printing, the biomedical advancements are going to be phenomenal. And then when we look at cultural, demographic, and economic changes, things like the fact that we're living longer and we're aging, longevity has become such a massive field of interest. Growing sharing economies, the risk of freelance work, blockchain economies, all those things are things that are going to start blowing up. Global challenges, okay, we have enough of those if you look at the population statistics. Imagine if our kids can figure out how to save the earth from overpopulation. I mean, and they're going to have to, actually. They are the ones who are going to find the solutions. And the possibilities for jobs or careers in that area are massive. And then the final one that they think is going to drive these careers is the human need to play and explore. People are always looking for the next best thing to excite them or entertain them. And this could be an entire new industry of possibilities. So, I said to the kids, don't be scared of AI and technology, like embrace it and just figure out a way that you can be a part of it. It was interesting. I was reading some of the things that around this human drive to play and explore are things like missions to Moon and Mars. They're talking about Mars travel, like Mars tour guides. They're talking about space elevators to orbital hotels, underwater cruise ships, wall-size holographic TVs, fully immersive VR experiences, and real or holographic avatars. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of the ABBA experience in the UK, and people say you can't actually tell the difference. So these 4 areas are some of the likely predictors of careers for the future. But as you can see, a lot of these hold possibilities of careers, but the careers don't yet exist. So as a result, there aren't really specific courses or degrees they can do yet, or diplomas they can study, which is why they're going to have to become agile and adaptable and have a growth mindset for continual learning. And it's one of the things I drive home in the program. So with all this crazy change going on and this rapid rate of development, there's nothing it's nothing like we've ever experienced before. I mean, I certainly don't know what our grandparents would be feeling. But basically, education has to become something that enhances and develops their most natural abilities. So when these abilities are actualized, they can make their most influential impact for themselves and for our world. So what we want to do with our program is this is our vision. We want to bridge the gap between the world of work and the world of education to help young people and prepare them for this unpredictable future that they're facing. If they feel more confident about what they have to offer the world, they'll feel they have more control over their futures and they feel more secure. I had one girl in a program, actually, she was also a St. Peter's girl. She was 15, I think she was grade 10. And she came to me at the end of the week, of the 5 weeks, and she said to me, Natalie, I know I was quite quiet during this, but she said, it's changed my life. And I was quite taken aback. And she said, I always thought I was so weird and quirky and different. And she said, now I understand where that quirkiness is going to fit in the world. And she said, I'm suddenly so much more comfortable in my own skin. And I don't know, I mean, for a 15-year-old to feel comfortable in their own skin is massive for me. So to just give them the confidence about their strengths and their passions and who they are. I had another boy he's actually 3 years out of school now, and I bumped into him the other day, and he said to me, you made me realize I need to take charge and go for what I want. And he became a prefect in matric, and he said to me, your teaching about leadership actually helped me become a prefect. And for me, like, to be able to impact a life like that, especially a teenager who I mean, they're often so lost, was massive. It was just, so what we can do for these kids is just it's great. I love it. That's why I love what I do, and that's why I'm so passionate about this. So what our program does is it gives them insights into their own individual unique profile. We do an assessment before they start, and that assessment underpins the whole entire program. It helps them realize they have a part to play now and in the future world of work. So it helps them understand at school where they fit, where they add value. It shows them that regardless of academic performance, everyone can be important to a team, and that they need to understand and accept others in their team, and that others might have a different approach to them. I had one boy, he was grade 10 also, and he he said to me in the very first session, can I just ask a question? Are we going to be doing a lot of group work? So I said, yes. Why? He said, oh no, I hate group work. So I said, why? And he said to me, because he said, no one has as good ideas as me, and I hate working with other people. And I just laughed, because by the end of the class, or the end of the program, sorry, I asked them what was one key takeaway or thing that they'd learned. And he actually said, I have to humbly tell you that I now understand why collaboration is important. And for me, that was a massive growth for him, because he was quite arrogant in the beginning. But then by the end, he was like, you know what, actually, I get this. So we help them get a greater self-awareness, which is critical, and to learn to take control of their own futures, firstly by knowing what their superpowers are, and then playing to their strengths by knowing where they can add value in a team or in an organization, or even in the world. Okay, so we teach them why it's so important to embrace lifelong learning. And I talk a lot about a growth mindset. So as an aside, after doing our programs, I get them to do an assessment before and after, and they tend to show a huge increase in interest in furthering their education and learning, because they suddenly understand how critical it is. So it's because they want to, not because we're telling them they have to. We also talk a lot about collaboration. We talk about leadership, but leadership in relation to their superpower. And that's where we bring it back to their assessment. So they know how they naturally lead and how they can naturally influence. We also talk about their blind spots, and those are the behaviors they need to learn to manage. So like Mr. I don't want to work in a team, he got it at the end. So we also teach them about fluid goals and ongoing career paths. We talk about values, corporate, personal, and we discuss future employability. So we cover quite a lot in the 5 weeks. So what's included? We do this assessment. It's called the Young People's Index. It's based on the GC Index assessment, and it's based on a higher level business cycle, which helps them understand where in this business cycle they would make their biggest impact. Just also, until they're 18, I will repeat this assessment for free for them, just so that we can keep track of their growth. Also, if they're grade 9, by the time they get to grade 11, we can reassess, and often they grow into their strengths, which is quite fascinating to watch. So yeah, you'll get an email every year to say it's time, do you want to repeat? Unbelievably, lots of people don't, but yeah, lots of people do, and it's awesome to track that growth. So that's the first thing. There's 5 sessions, so that 3 hours over 5 weeks. It'll be a Tuesday evening starting the 27th of May. And each session is different. So the sessions include, the first week is obviously self-awareness. We go through their reports. I explain what it all means, and how just helping them understand what their contribution and impact is going to be. Second week, we talk about teamwork, or the power of teamwork. So we cover communication, collaboration. We talk about dynamic teams and organizations. The third week, we talk about leadership. So what is your unique approach? What are your blind spots? What's your leadership style? Like, how do you lead? The fourth week, we talk about future employability. So we talk about personal and organizational values. It's quite fun. I actually don't tell them this because I like to surprise them, but I say, who am I going to Google? And you can't believe how these kids panic because of what their social imprint is. But I had one boy who, when I said, okay, who am I going to pick to Google tonight? He actually put up his hand quickly, and I said, oh, do you want me? And he said, no, I need the bathroom. He disappeared for 45 minutes because he was trying to delete stuff on his profile. And I just said to him, I'm not going to Google you, but if that's your value that you're putting out there, not necessarily your personal value, but if that's your brand, your personal brand, then you need to do something about it, And this poor kid was panicked. But yeah, we just bring that to life as well, like understanding, who are you, what are you putting out there? We talk about how employment is changing. We talk about why soft skills are important. And then session 5, we talk about future planning. So we talk about how to be flexible, them email their own 3-year plan to themselves. We do a SWOT analysis, a personal development plan. And yeah, and then we inaugurate them into the Lifetime Growth Club. So basically what this program is doing is it's giving them a confidence to differentiate themselves in a competitive world. So the Lifetime Growth Club is basically about coaching, essentially. So, professional sportsmen have coaches. Imagine if even half the people in this world had coaching to maximize their impact and potential. It would change the world. It would change how people develop, how they grow, how they think. And it would improve every person's journey towards a much better life, So what the Lifetime Growth Club means is that from now on, I'll help them with things like subject guidance, career choices, further education guidance. When they get to entry-level workplace, I do CV building, I do interview skills with them. I help them as they start their careers with career path planning and development. Management level even, where we help them with team efficiency and leadership skills, right through to C-suite level if I can. I'd love to hold their hands forever and just watch how they go. So basically, I just want to help them grow in confidence and be successful forever. So this was I pulled a St. Peter's report. This is actually from 2022. And this is the growth that happened. So you can look at those stats. But the personal growth and the increased confidence and the self-esteem that you see over those 5 weeks is incredible. One of the biggest comments I get from parents is they talk to me. When I picked them up in the car, they had so much to say. And for me, that means they've learned and I've made an impact, or they've learned something impactful. So, and I've also been so blown away by the insightfulness of these students. Like it's amazing. In the last class, I invite you all to come and we hand out their certificates and I get them to say something. And I often I'm in tears actually by the things that they say. And the parents also are like, who is this kid, So it's just awesome to see. So yeah, the point of this program for me is to give them the confidence to differentiate themselves in a competitive world. If you look at the stats, 64% of graduates can't get jobs. So to just give them that differentiator. And or we focus on entrepreneurship, where does your superpower lie? So school is like a microcosm of the world of work. So there's benefits them in school too. The sessions are highly interactive. It's late. It starts at 4:30, so I make it as fun and interactive as possible. Sometimes I bring in other experts and coaches. I had an executive coach come in. It was so funny. I mean, he coaches top execs in the country, and he was so nervous to talk to teenagers. But they loved having him there because he was like a whole different, I don't know, kettle of fish. And yeah, so sometimes I bring them in just so that they can be exposed to different kinds of professionals. And then, yeah, it's personalized coaching and support. Often in the break, they'll hang around in the class and talk to me about stuff. So, yeah, it's vital that for me, every person, self-awareness is critical as far as I'm concerned. So I think it's vital that every person is aware of their own strengths, their skills, so they can not only value their add in a classroom or in society, but also make informed choices about their future. So, yeah, that's pretty much the program. It starts the 27th of May every Tuesday, Hoppersfoot 9. Sorry, Hoppersfoot 7. It's 4,250 Rand per person. And yeah, I can only take 25 to 30 people. It depends how many grade 9s, because they are the handful. So the older the kids, the more I can take. If I've got more grade 9s, I tend to take slightly less. And yeah, so I think it's just basically about, we can't predict this future. So if we can't pave the way for them, we can at least build them. All right. So yeah, does anyone have any questions? If you want to register now, you can scan this QR code. We will be sending out an email. Mr. Armitage is sending on tomorrow with the registration link, and a link to this webinar in case anyone wants to rewatch it or has any questions. Yeah, but that's pretty much me in a nutshell. So does anyone have any questions? I think you can all unmute if you like.
Hi, sorry, I was just wondering, is this something that you offer at St. Peter's annually? So say, for instance, if we're not ready to do it this year or we don't feel our child's in the right headspace, is it something that would be offered again?
As long as they have me, this will be my 4th or 5th year with them. So generally, yes, I hope.
Okay, great, thanks.
Anybody else?
There's
I do sometimes offer it in the holiday. Yeah, but it's hard to get the timing right because lots of people go away in the August break because there's enough time. But yeah.
Yeah, I think the holidays might be a good idea. I see someone else in the questions in the chat.
Oh, in the chat.
There are a couple of questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, there we go. Sports matches. So they usually do get back in time. That's why we schedule it at that time. And I don't think their match is on a Tuesday. I stand to be corrected. But match day is usually Wednesday, I think, which is why they schedule it on a Tuesday. Is it available after exam periods? Yeah, possibly in the holiday. Classes are definitely in person. Yeah. Other questions? Am I recording? It didn't record properly, but I've recorded yeah, there will be a recording I'll send out. Any other questions? I don't see any raised hands. Okay. Well, oh, there's a new message. Yes, the course takes place at St. Peter's. It's usually in the first classroom as you come in on the road, in the corner around the hub. It's usually in one of those classes because then we use the hub for activities and stuff. And yeah, so they can come straight after sports. And then I do give them a break for dinner. Last year I had some moms take turns to actually bring dinner, which was a little disruptive because they didn't always get the timing right. But yeah, just pack extra lunch or meet them at 4:30 and quickly give them some lunch or dinner at least. Yeah.